Welcome to a very short whiteboard video on layout and composition. I figured this is a good way to do an explainer video just to give you a sense of what you might want to do, and also to show you and remind you it's actually not too hard once you get thinking about it. As you think about making your explainer video, one of the things you want to keep in mind is that really you're just converting a handout or a mini lesson to help people understand a concept. Well, maybe it's a little bit of both, actually. So consider what you would put in a handout for somebody. You want to give them an introduction to the topic. You want to define your terms. You want to give some examples. Now, if you watch the Death by PowerPoint, you probably will know I've already put one too many images in this. If I were paying attention to the Death by PowerPoint guy, I would have noticed that I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, actually, that's the magic number, isn't it? 6 items, but no more at any given time. So for this explainer video, I'm using Doceri. It's a free software with my iPad. There's lots of other kinds of software, but just want to let you know that's what I'm using here. Oh, I think there's a watermark at the bottom corner anyways, isn't there? I can't see it while I'm drawing. Okay, let's get to our topic. So, layout and composition. What are some of the main concepts that came up for you? One of them was the position on the page. What else did you notice? I noticed from your found text write-ups, salience was big for many of you. Let's look at some examples. As pointed out from the reading, salience is an important feature for printed periodicals. As Machen describes, and let's look right at that quote. I hope I'm not bolding this out too much. Let's make it a little more transparent. So, Machen describes salience of imagery as features that stand out and create attention for viewers, as noted on page 130. The example that was described here was the Ellen DeGeneres Time magazine cover, and those words, "Yep, I'm gay," right there in the center, and used with large font. We also see that Ellen herself is centered right in the middle, making her salient. Another way in which we see salience described is through setting and participants. So we see this example when the background is out of focus, like it is here. It's all blurred, kind of nice and soft. That what happens then is our participants right in the center, they're put in high detail. They become salient, almost in comparison and contrast, right, to the soft background. So it's kind of a soft versus bold. Another way in which we see how layout and composition becomes important to a reader is through positionality. As pointed out in this composition, or these two advertisements for makeup, we can see how the issue of left and right is shown up. So if we look at Machen states, where products appear on the left, they may be shown as necessities. Where they are on the right, they are lifestyles and shown as possibilities. Now, what's really going on here? I mean, in this image we can see Here on the left, we see the actress. And then on the right, we see the product. And we see this same kind of split here. On the next ad, it's a little bit more of a diagonal, but we still see the other person to the left, but more to the top and left, right? And then we see the product almost to the bottom right. I'm realizing I should make my pen smaller. Apologies. What is it about this? Well, let's look at it in our little graph next. One of the things that we know about layout and composition is that this idea of left and right is that the left is all about what's known, and the right, let's make my pen smaller, it's a little too big, and the right is what's new. Now, this makes sense if we think about our writing practices. This makes sense based on our reading and writing practices in the U.S., Western culture. We write this way, don't we? We say, "Hi, how are you?" What am I saying here? Well, what I'm saying is we read from left to right. So we start, the left is where we start. If we look at our understanding of metaphor and all that we learned from Wyckoff and Johnson, we know that metaphorically we understand the world through kind of the lens of our experience. So things that we already know about, or things that are at the beginning, become left. Things that are new become right because they come later in our process. This can be a little complicated for those of us who read languages or speak languages that work in other directions, like languages that go, down, for example. What do you do with that? How does that affect your reading? What about if you read manga comics? If you read manga comics, you start from the back of the book, don't you? And then you move the other direction. So, one of the things that we want to problematize here with this concept of left to right with this visual grammar is that it's based on a Western model. I'm going to add one more idea to our layout here of composition, and that's the top and bottom. The other idea is things at the top are considered the ideal, and things at the bottom are considered the real. Once again, we can consider our metaphors for this. Let's think of what's usually on the bottom of our picture. Let's go with a tree, has nice roots, right? So it's grounded. The ground is very real and we've got grass, but everything down here is kind of real, right? And we got a little tree up here. But what's up at the top? Well, up here in the top we have clouds. Think about having your head in the clouds. What do we mean when we say head in the clouds? We mean it's kind of lofty, right? Idealistic, right? So think about, I've got to add a sunshine, of course. Think about our metaphorical understandings as a way to help you understand these concepts of top and bottom and what they mean for layout and composition. Now, if you recall from that article, I talk about there's actually even sometimes a little more complicated. We can say there's, in the middle, we've got almost this realistic ideal. This realistic ideal is where we start seeing things that look hyper-real, yet real, and that when we start putting things kind of in the middle and complicating our understanding of composition and layout, that maybe there's another way to look at it as well. This is one of those moments where Thompson said, what was that, 2000 and what year was that? I gotta double check. Maybe 11? We can look at this last example here as one in which we can see this ideal and real. We've got the floating heads up top. We've got the earth down below. So talk about the earth as grounded, right? The earth as reality. And then we've got floating heads, as it was stated, in space. We have space people. We also have heroes, right? Our idealistic people. Our idealistic social actors, no less, right? Obviously, I can go on and on. I'll just end with this last one to say, notice you can have something that looks very similar, or you can have the same topic. You have Donald Trump on Time magazine's cover. But in both cases, he's presented in a very different composition. He's salient on this first one cover, but in the other one, he's like hidden within a crowd, and the people become more salient. Or alternatively, we can see people in a very similar position. We have Benedict Cumberbatch here. He's still we've got him a close-up with the gaze. Here it's a mid-shot, not a close-up. Different covers, but a very similar look. Hand posed on face, hands close to face, kind of in a similar type of look. Not exact, but giving us a similar. Or how about these two images? We've got our models in almost the same kinds of look, that come hither looking at us but approaching us. This one's moving towards us, the Game Informer, where the woman's posing at us, but they've kind of got the same flow of body if you kind of look closely. It's quite interesting that you can have something so different look so similar. Okay, so that's all for layout and composition. Now what you just noticed, hopefully, is that this took me 12.5 minutes, and I went through a lot of images. In your explainer video, you really only have to look at one image closely. Your goal is to intro the topic, give us some quotes so we can understand the theory, show us some examples to make the concept clear to somebody even outside of our classroom. You are welcome to use one of your original found texts and just move it from one media to the other. That in itself is a writing challenge. Anyways, I hope you found this helpful, and I also hope you had a chance to hear a little bit or see some other examples of layout and composition and see how it may be working out in some of your found texts and how others have looked at it. All right, ta-ta for now.